Chronicles of the Grim Reaper, The Navigator's End, by Griz Calderon. Long before he became known as the Navigator, Henry was a boy standing on the cliffs of Porto, watching the ocean turn gold beneath the setting sun. He was quiet, curious, and unlike his brothers, more drawn to the wind than to the sword. He spent hours staring toward the horizon, asking the same question of every sailor who returned from the sea. What lies beyond? The sailors would smile or shrug, spinning tales of monsters and endless storms, of lands where the sun burned hotter and rivers ran with gold. Most called the horizon the world's edge. Henry did not believe them. When he was still a child, a shipwreck brought him his first encounter with death. A merchant vessel had been caught in a storm off the Algarve coast. In the morning, the sea gave back its dead. Henry watched as the bodies were carried to the shore. Sailors, fishermen, and a boy not much older than himself. Amid the grieving, the air changed. The cries softened, the wind fell still, and a weight settled over the shore. Henry felt something move through that stillness, an unseen presence, solemn and patient, as if the sea itself had paused to listen. He could not name it, but deep within, he sensed it watching, collecting, continuing on. Henry felt no fear, only the strange understanding that whatever it was had always been, and always would be. He turned from the sea that day, not in dread, but in awe. Years passed. Henry grew into a prince, son of King John I of Portugal. He was neither the eldest nor the strongest, but he possessed something his siblings did not: vision. While others sought crowns or glory in war, he sought understanding. He studied astronomy and cartography, learned from Moorish scholars, and surrounded himself with minds who shared his hunger to know the unknown. He led men into battle once, at Ceuta, on the coast of Africa. It was his first taste of conquest and of loss. Victory came at a heavy cost. Men fell around him, the air thick with cries and smoke. Amid the ruin, Henry felt again the same chill he had felt as a boy. The Reaper walked among the wounded, unseen, guiding the dying away from the sand. That night, staring out over the darkened bay, Henry made a vow. If men must die, let their deaths give meaning. Let the sea no longer be a mystery. At Sagres, he built a place where knowledge could gather, a haven of scholars, sailors, and navigators who studied the stars and the sea. It became known as his School of Navigation, though it was more a meeting of minds than a hall of learning. Maps were drawn and redrawn, instruments refined, new designs for ships tested against the wind. The caravel was born there, light, swift, and strong enough to face the unknown. From Sagres, his captain set sail toward the western coast of Africa, tracing lands no European had mapped before. Each success came at a cost. For every new coastline charted, lives were lost to storms, hunger, or fever. Henry knew this. Letters reached him with news of shipwrecks and deaths, yet still he urged his men onward. And the Reaper was always there, on the decks of the caravels, beneath the waves, at the edge of every discovery. Henry felt his presence in the stillness, between the news and the grief that followed. Yet he never stopped. Now, many years later, the prince lay dying in Sagres, the sound of the sea filling his final hours. His body was frail, but his thoughts remained sharp, restless, alive. The lamp by his bedside flickered as a shadow filled the room. At first, it seemed only darkness shifting across the wall. Then, it moved with purpose, silent and sure. The Grim Reaper had come. Henry felt no fear. He had felt this presence all his life, in battle, in storms, in the lives of those he sent to the sea. He had long understood that discovery and death had walked together since the first ship left shore. He felt the air grow still, and before his fading eyes, visions began to form. He saw caravels pitched against storms, their sails torn like banners in defeat. Men clung to splintered wood before vanishing into black waters. He saw fever-sick sailors collapsing in hammocks, lips cracked, bodies frail. He saw burials at sea, shrouded forms sliding from planks, the ocean swallowing them whole. Henry's breath caught, for he knew these were not strangers. They were the very men he had sent. Their faces blurred together. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, each one answering his call and paying with their lives. "I only wish to open the way," he whispered, "to see Portugal reach beyond itself." The Reaper did not speak, but Henry felt the presence pressing gently against his thoughts, calm and unyielding. Understanding washed through him like the tide. The dead do not curse. They journey onward, guided as surely as ships by the stars. What remains here is memory, and memory will name you the Navigator. His eyes filled with tears. He remembered the school at Sagres, the laughter of scholars, the smell of parchment and salt, the sound of waves outside the stone walls. He thought of his captains, brave and reckless, setting out toward the horizon. He heard the surf more clearly now, as if the ocean had drawn near. "Then, let me go," he murmured. Henry exhaled once more, and with it, his spirit slipped free. The air shimmered softly, and before him unfolded the world he had once only traced in ink. Golden shores bathed in dawn, islands rising from emerald water, winds carrying the scent of distant lands. He saw what his sailors had seen, the vastness, the wonder, the beauty he had only imagined. The Reaper stood beside him, silent and unmoving, allowing him this final sight. When the vision faded, only the whisper of the tide remained. The grim Reaper lingered in silence, watching the man who had dreamed of horizons he never touched. Then he turned from the bed and stepped back into the shadows, leaving the ocean to carry Henry's name into memory. The end.